Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Elephant Diaries. My name is Sienna Bangura and I'm a writer, blogger and poet from London. In part one, I introduced you to the first few poems of my upcoming collection, which is coming out on May the 21st. And in those poems, we started to explore migration, feelings of otherness, not being comfortable in your own skin, that kind of thing. And now, in part two, we're going to start to look at kind of womanhood. So the first poem in section 2 of Elephant is called Hair Care. And this poem is about a little girl who likes to run around and play dress up, and she often puts kitchen curtains on her head to kind of replicate long European hair. And I remember this is something I used to do when I was younger, and I know a lot of my fellow black women have done this when they were younger. That feeling of like not having good hair essentially. And it's definitely just a light-hearted exploration of a very serious issue actually. This issue of beauty, of blackness not being seen as beautiful, of black hair in particular being political. And you know, it's something that it affects little girls as well actually. And sometimes you don't realise the effect of it until you're much older. So hair care goes like this. She likes to put mum's yellow kitchen curtains on her head before they go in the wash. She pretends that each fibre grew from her own head, the long golden locks she prays for daily. She even uses the dustpan and brush to brush out and detangle. And she borrows mum's belts to use as giant hairbands. When the curtains go in the wash, she will stick her head in, sit in front of the machine and watch it spin and spin and spin. Fascinated by each cycle, and closer to the arrival of the hair she really wants. The pantry is now a salon and she's getting her usual care in. And when the curtains are hung out to dry in the sunshine, she will grab her garden chair and sit under them, waiting patiently for her hair to dry and get back to its former glory. Next week, Mum's going to wash the red bed sheets, and that will be her next hairdo. She finds joy in make-believe. For little girls, anything is possible. And so that poem, I think it's kind of a sweet way of kind of portraying a little girl who, on the surface, it actually just seems like she's just having some fun and like playing around. So I think a lot of parents might just brush it off as that. But obviously, you know, she's seen that there are images of beauty that she doesn't fit in, basically. And she so desperately wants this hair, she uses bed sheets and kitchen curtains kind of thing to emulate it. And she'll even emulate to the point of going to the salon and getting her hair done, which is really just mum washing the bed sheets. And she'll take care of it and brush it out and put it in hairbands. You know, this taking so much care in something, and I think it is very sweet. But also, you know, it's just kind of saying that these issues start from a really young age actually, this idea of not believing that your hair is good hair and things like that. And I think, you know, the final line, she finds joy in make-believe. For little girls, anything is possible. It's true for little girls, anything is possible. You can be anything in your head. And I remember when I was growing up, there was a book called Amazing Grace, and Grace was probably one of the only black characters that were in my storybooks and things like that. And she, you know, she was Peter Pan, she was the bishop, she was the Pope, she was where she wanted to be. But even she, you know, was told that she couldn't be Peter Pan because she was black and because she was a girl. And this idea that, but even so, your imagination is limitless, really. You can be anything and do anything in your dreams and your imagination and transform, you know. So a little black girl can have the hair she really wants through playing make-believe. But yes, that's a little poem just kind of exploring identity again through quite a physical thing, a political thing, black hair. So after hair care, we have a poem called Coconut. And, well, in terms of the title, when I was at school, and actually just when I was younger really, and even to this day, but less so now I'd say, I used to get called a coconut. You get called a coconut, an Oreo biscuit, a Milky Way. just anything that was black on the outside and white on the inside. And what was meant by that was the fact, well spoken. And when I was growing up, I liked heavy metal music. I dated white boys. I'm a vegetarian. Just all these things that weren't necessarily stereotypically black, whatever that means. And this poem is a very short poem, but it's again kind of just putting on the voice of some of the girls maybe that I was growing up with that didn't quite understand me, but also just the voice of these people that don't quite understand that blackness isn't a monolith. And it's also, I guess, kind of a very short poem that says so much about kind of how cruel children can be, actually. And again, this idea of being a coconut was quite defining, actually, in my childhood, and certainly I think in the childhood of lots of kind of other black kids like me who weren't fitting certain stereotypes, I'd say. But yeah, so Coconut, goes like this. You speak like a white girl. You're the type that only dates white boys, and you listen to white people music. And we know you bleach your skin. Why do you think you're better than us? Do you think you're smart? Well, bitch, you're just a coconut. Black on the outside and white on the inside. Hard on the outside, hollow on the inside. House slave, whilst the rest of us pick cotton. So yeah, it's quite a biting poem, actually. And I say the final lines are basically definitely that dynamic, shall we say, of kind of from colorism, shadism, and this idea of, the light-skinned girls versus the dark-skinned girls, to the very idea of some characteristics being white characteristics and others being black characteristics. A lot of it, again, really harks back to the cotton fields. And that's just what I'm saying in Coconut, this kind of idea that it was almost like maybe to some of these people, I was kind of like the house slave, and they were the ones out there on the fields, that kind of divide. And yeah, it's a really short poem, I think, that says a lot. So it is definitely about kind of the meanness of children, but also just this difficult dynamic between some black people when it comes to kind of understanding the multiplicity and plurality of what it means to be black. So the next poem in part 2 of Elephant is called Skin/Scorched Earth. For those familiar with this poem, they'll know it as Scorched Earth, but the full title is Skin/Scorched Earth. And this poem is one of my most popular, shall we say. I perform it a lot live, and I often start by asking everyone in the room if they feel comfortable in their own skin. And I'm always intrigued by what I find. It depends on really if there's, certain amount of men in the room, certain amount of women, certain amount of black people, white people, Asian people, that all links into kind of how many people put their hands up with saying that they're comfortable in their own skin. And yeah, it's always interesting to kind of see that before I go into the poem, just to know who's in the room. This poem is obviously about shadism and colorism, and that's actually why I chose to put it straight after Coconut, because that dynamic from childhood is then something that translates into one particular woman's adulthood. This idea of hating her skin, or this idea of being told that she is too white to whatever, and so she believes it and then decides that she isn't black. But this idea, I think they're closely linked poems essentially in terms of themes, and this poem is definitely one to really think about. I suppose I always get quite a moving reaction from the audience. One of the most recent times I performed it, a guy came to me and said, like, it made him always want to cry. And I do like when I have that kind of effect on people. And this poem goes like this. You told them that you don't like your skin, and you cried because it's too dark. You're trying to be more like honey or caramel. You've accepted that complete snow is too much work. And you buy bottles and bottles of the stuff. And you buy perm too, to dekink and unkink you. You set yourself on fire every day, 3 times a day, and you scrub and scrub. Cocoa is not for you. Hellfire's on your head and in your chest, and in your bones and in the marrow. And your once smooth, chocolatey skin is now scorched earth. And the final poem in part 2 of Elephant is I, the Angry Black Woman. And this again is another quite popular poem that I perform on stage, and I always ask the women to raise their hands if they've ever been called angry, and then keep their hands up if they've been called angry when they certainly weren't angry, you know? And again, that's always quite interesting to see who's in the room, what are our experiences, what's happening, you know, with our lives. And this poem, is essentially about that stereotype. I always get called angry, even when I'm not. And really it's because I'm a passionate woman, I'm outspoken and confident, actually. And often this pernicious stereotype about black women is used to silence us, basically. This angry black woman stereotype is there to demean us, to belittle what we've got to say. I think 2015 was definitely a year of kind of black women being extremely eloquent about our place in society and the intersection between race and gender and everything like that, and how that affects our experiences in a very unique way. And of course, people just kept coming with, you're just angry. And I learned a long time ago to not fear anger though, because black women aren't the only ones who get angry. People get angry. And often, anger, if you use it in a productive way, can be the difference between just speech and actual action. And that's what I've learned, really. And so the poem starts like this. 9 times out of 10, when I ask you to describe me, the words loud, sassy, and angry make an appearance. And the curves and the contours and the ripples of my body are othered, borrowed, poked, and prodded in the same breath you use to berate me. So, those few lines are again just this idea of kind of, if you ask a lot of people to sum up black women, you know, you get stuff like sassy, angry, you know, that kind of nonsense essentially. And this idea of us really being treated like a monolith and not being afforded nuance and individuality. And also, you know, this idea of like everybody chatting, but at the same time appropriating black women's features, black women's achievements. You know, for key example, you know, you've got someone like Miley Cyrus. She's wearing dreadlocks and she's dragging black women at the same time. Can you not see the irony there? This idea of as well black features being cool, and again, black features are often associated with blackness, like thicker lips or fuller hips or whatever, being ratchet when it's on us, but being fine and beautiful and high fashion when it's on a white body, when it's on a Kim Kardashian, for example. And I think, you know, just again taking issue with that, kind of saying, well, you know, well, if I am angry, that's pretty good reason to be angry. And this idea of like looking anger straight in the face and saying, I'm going to own it and I'm going to use it productively, and I'm going to use my voice productively. And I suppose that's really the essence of that poem. I think it was after being called angry so many times, I was like, well, let me just write a poem about it, seems as you lot want to call me angry all the time. So that was an overview of part 2 of Elephant, and we've looked at kind of girlhood, womanhood, and really the intersection of race and gender, which is really important because that intersection is what makes the experience of black women unique. Also, sort of, we started to look at this idea of black women not being afforded individuality, being afforded nuance, and being given kind of the freedom to not be a monolith as well. Exploring this idea of kind of beauty and actually how important this concept of beauty is, how political it is, and from a very early age being told your hair isn't good hair, you're being told your hair is European, so you pretend you've got different hair, praying that this different hair will soon become your hair. And we also explore, you know, kind of themes like shadeism and colorism and kind of bleaching your skin. And, you know, all of these things as well that make you angry with good reason. All these things that make you angry at society and how the system is set up to make certain people feel like they're not good enough. And I think that's what we really start to explore in section 2. And again, that, you know, some of these things are definitely, you know, things I've struggled with myself personally, but, you know, it's definitely starting to speak to just kind of the wider community of black women. And, you know, as I said, a lot of those poems as well I've performed on stage many times and got powerful reactions too. So it's quite exciting to see what it's like when they're on paper. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the second episode of Elephant Diaries. There's more to come, but for now, see you later.